often get requests to make dinners that are a little bit higher in protein and lower in carbs, so today I will be sharing 5 of my family's all-time favorite dinners that are higher in protein and they just happen to be a little bit lower in carbs. Let's get to my kitchen. I'm so excited to share them with you today. To kick us off today, we are making this ground beef stir fry. If you've never made anything like this before, you need to. I'm just starting off by cutting up my veggies, just my carrots, red bell pepper, zucchini, onion, and a half a pound of asparagus. Now over to this pan on the stove, I'm adding in a pound of ground beef. I'm using leaner ground beef and I'll just break it up, and cook it through. Now we're getting started on the stir fry sauce. This sauce is so good. It's 3 tablespoons of low sodium soy sauce. Then you're going to add in a little bit of minced garlic and ginger. That ginger just kicks this recipe up a notch. I'm also adding in a tablespoon of sesame oil along with a teaspoon of rice vinegar. Next, add in 2 tablespoons of water and a tablespoon of cornstarch. The cornstarch will help thicken up the sauce. Give this a little whisk together. You want the cornstarch to mainly be combined with the rest of the ingredients. Now back over to my ground beef. Now that it's cooked through, I'm just removing it to a plate. I'll set the plate to the side into the same pan that the ground beef was cooked in. I just added in a tablespoon of olive oil. Now I'm adding in my veggies. I'm also going to add in about 1/3 cup of water along with my veggies. The water is just going to help these veggies steam a bit, but I'll cover this with a lid and I'll let it cook for about 5 to 9 minutes on a lower heat, stirring occasionally until those veggies are to the tenderness that I like them to be. But I'm just adding that cooked ground beef in now along with that stir fry sauce. I'll give this a little stir. You want that stir fry sauce to thicken up and kind of become a glaze. This is seriously such an easy dinner to throw together. It is a one-pan wonder. Once it kind of looks like this, you could serve it up. We topped ours with a little bit of sesame seeds. This is absolutely delicious, full of protein, full of veggies. You could use different meats if you'd like. You could use ground chicken, ground turkey. You could use any meat substitute. This one also reheats well if you want to prep it for lunches or dinners for the week. Now we're making this sweet potato chicken dinner, and I recently discovered this rotisserie chicken hack. So I do need some chicken for this recipe, and I found this rotisserie chicken at Walmart. This is a chilled rotisserie chicken for only $3.97. It comes out to being like $1.76 per pound. So much cheaper than buying a hot rotisserie chicken. So do look for those chilled rotisserie chickens. They're such a wonderful price. Anyway, to this pot on the stove, I added in a tablespoon of olive oil. I added in my 2 sweet potatoes that I diced, a yellow onion, and a half a cup of chicken broth. Just give this a stir and let the sweet potatoes cook for about 8 to 10 minutes. Then stir in 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Go ahead and toss in a 14-ounce can of fire-roasted diced tomatoes or regular diced tomatoes, 1/3 cup of chicken broth, 2 cups of fresh chopped spinach, or you could use like frozen spinach, and then my chopped chicken. I used about 1 pound of that rotisserie chicken, just chopped it up into smaller pieces, and then for my seasonings, a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of pepper and paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning. This is so flavorsome. Go ahead and add in a half a cup of Parmesan cheese if you're a cheese fan like me. Give it a stir, let it cook for about 5 minutes. Once the cheese is melty and the spinach is wilted down, you could serve this up. This is one of those dinners that comes together in minutes. It is so easy to make. Also a very affordable, healthy, high protein option. This one is super healthy. All those sweet potatoes, spinach, just a wonderful dinner. I absolutely love this one. I've been making it for years. Now we're getting started on this low-carb turkey veggie skillet. So to a pan on the stove, add in a tablespoon of olive oil, then roll in 1 diced yellow onion. Now add in a pound of ground turkey, or you could use ground beef, ground chicken, or any meat substitute. Break that ground turkey up and cook it through. The reason why we're cooking it with the onion is just to give that turkey a lot of added flavor in the end. But once your ground turkey is cooked through, you're going to add in a tablespoon of minced garlic. You're also going to add in your seasonings. So add in a half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, then a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, half a teaspoon of oregano, and a half a teaspoon of paprika. These seasonings work so well with this dish, but you could always add in different seasonings. These are kind of like my affordable go-to seasonings. Anyway, give this a super duper good stir. Then you're going to toss in 2 zucchinis, just slice them, a 14-ounce can of fire roasted diced tomatoes, 1 pound of trimmed green beans, a half a cup of chicken broth. You could always use different veggies if you don't particularly care for the veggies that I'm using, but pull out your cookbook because you'll find this recipe on page 115. It's in the one pot meals section. All these recipes in my cookbook are so easy to throw together, and there's a high quality colored photo for every single recipe in this book. But anyway, now just give this a stir, and you are going to let it cook for about 10 to 15 minutes on the stove. You want those green beans to get tender, same with the zucchini, but once it is tender, you could just add in a half a cup to 1 cup of mozzarella cheese if you're a cheese fan like me. If you're not a cheese fan, just don't add the cheese in. This is another one of those dinners that's super versatile. You could add ingredients to it, subtract ingredients. You could really make it your own so easily. This is another one of those dinners also that you could meal prep easily. So you could make a huge batch of this for multiple dinners through the week, or you could make a big batch of it for lunches. You could freeze some of it and it reheats really well too. Now we're getting started on my favorite zucchini boats. I absolutely love making these. To a pan on the stove, add in a pound of ground turkey or any ground meat, a diced yellow onion, a dash of salt and pepper, then a half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Break that ground turkey up and you're going to cook it through. This recipe is absolutely delicious. I've done it in the past with Italian sausage and it just is amazing. Anyway, over to a cutting board, I am going to slice 4 zucchinis in half lengthwise, and then I'm going to scoop out the inside of the zucchinis. The very first time I made this years ago, I thought this was going to be so hard to scoop the inside out. It's really easy to do. You just scoop it out with a spoon, and there you go. Very simple to do so. Now that my ground turkey's cooked through, I'm adding in 24 ounces of pasta sauce, and then you're going to give this a stir, let it cook together for a couple minutes, and then if you're a cheese fan, add in a half a cup of mozzarella cheese. If you're not a cheese fan, just don't add the cheese in, but give this a stir, let the cheese melt down. Now over to my large baking dish, I'm going to spray it with nonstick spray, and then if you're wondering what I'm doing with the inside of the zucchinis, you know, like the leftover zucchini filling, I'm actually going to use it in a couple days for some spaghetti sauce. I'll just add it into my spaghetti sauce and it's going to make the spaghetti sauce go further, so I'll just keep it in my fridge. But I added the zucchinis into my baking dish. Now I'm going to scoop some of that ground turkey pasta sauce mixture right inside. I found it's easiest to do so with a cookie scoop. Anyway, over the top I'll sprinkle with a little bit more mozzarella cheese. I'll cover this with foil, bake it in a preheated oven to 350 degrees for 25 minutes. Then uncovered for an additional 10 minutes. These are absolutely delicious. I started making these about 4 years ago. I was super skeptical about them at first. I kind of thought it was an odd combination. I promise, just try these once and you will love them. I serve this with a side salad, and for the dressing, I use some of this Skinny Girl balsamic vinaigrette. I'm basically almost out of this dressing. I've been loving it recently. It's so good. Now we're making this egg roll and a bowl, but first I do want to share with you, I was shopping at a Kroger store a couple days ago and I found this huge 4-pound container of strawberries for only $6. Strawberries are in season, so check your stores. You might find a good deal on them like that. I was just super excited. They're just gorgeous strawberries. But to a pan on the stove, I added in 1 pound of ground beef. Just break your ground beef up and cook it through. The reason why I'm using a lot of ground meat today is because ground meat is affordable. It's also very quick and easy to cook with compared to whole pieces of meat. So ground meat is wonderful if you want to make a dinner in minutes. But once that ground beef was cooked through, I added in a tablespoon of minced garlic and ginger. Just stir it around for about a minute or so. Next, you're going to add in your cabbage. Use between 10 to 16 ounces of shredded cabbage. I found this angel hair cabbage at my store. I was really excited about it. So I had never used this angel hair before, but I wanted to give it a try, so I added that in along with 1/4 cup of beef broth, 1/3 cup of low sodium soy sauce, and 3 green onions. Give this a stir, let it cook for about 5 minutes to let that cabbage wilt down. Once it's wilted down, I added in a tablespoon more soy sauce, and then I gave it a little stir, and then I served this up. We topped ours with a little bit of sesame seeds on the top. This is one of my favorite go-to dinners. This is actually one of the first dinners I started making years ago when I learned how to cook. So So it's very easy to throw together, high in protein, lower in carbs. It's also very flavorsome. Make sure you're subscribed down below the video so you don't miss the next video like this. I'll see you there. Bye for now.